Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Lewis here to go ahead and kind of guide you through the LibGuide for the interdisciplinary project on the Gilded Age. I've tried to go ahead and put everything you're going to need at each stage that you'll need it, so please do go ahead and do me a favor and bookmark this LibGuide, which is simply libguides.st.catharines.org/gildedage, because I think you will be referring back to it, and I'll be telling you about it. So I think it has a lot of great information on here. I've divided it up into pages that are at the different stages. This is just the general one about the research process and specific things that the library can do for you. We are always here to be a friendly face to help you through the discouragement or panic or enthusiasm that you feel about your project. In case you are worried that your emotional highs and lows are yours alone, please let me reassure you this is actually the definition of the emotional stages and what you'll be experiencing, including the total breakdown that happens at stage 5, not far before things are done. So please do look through, since we do have strategies that we're also happy to tell you in person about how to go ahead and work through them. I wanted to go ahead and start off, since you guys are beginning with your topics, I wanted you to have a sense of where do you begin. And the best place for you to begin is to think an overview of what is it that I need to go ahead and get to go ahead and make this paper effective with the various types of sources. With that in mind, I've embedded a quick video about primary, secondary, and tertiary sources, as well as some information here to have you understand where in the process each of these things is useful. When you're starting out tertiary, which are the more general topics, the general sources that are encyclopedias, your textbooks, those things that give you an umbrella overview, kind of assuming you don't have a ton of background knowledge because maybe you've been assigned something you don't know too much about. Those are what you're looking for at this stage, because while you're doing them, you are going to be writing down the keywords that keep popping up again and again, because those words are going to offer you the ability to do a variety of searches so that as you get to the next stages of your research, you're not frustrated and that you have lots of options to find exactly what it is that you need. Notice I've put in a few links. One, I've put in a link to the library catalog, and certainly you can come and ask us at the front desk for help as well in terms of finding things. We love talking to you about what it is that you're doing. I would definitely say, keep in mind when you think about your topic, don't go ahead and get married to a thesis before you know that there's enough out there to support it. That's the #1 problem I see people do all of the time. You're like, well, I'm going to prove this. Well, if you haven't read a ton of background, you might find that the evidence you can find actually turns you in another direction. And obviously you want your evidence to support your thesis. So I would say, just if you do have an idea of what you might want to do, call it a working thesis to yourself, so you don't get too attached to it in case it does need to evolve and change. And I think your teachers are probably going to emphasize that as well. The library catalog, we have a ton of reference or broader works that could be useful for you. I've also included some links to some specific databases like the Gale Virtual Reference Library or Britannica that can be useful in addition. And I'm going to show you a resource that I think you're really, really going to like that could sort of supplant every kind of resource I could possibly offer you. The part that everyone skips page is all about effective keywords. If there's anything that people don't do, it's this, and it is the thing that wastes the most amount of time. People love to go ahead and be like, well, this is my topic, let me dive in now and just start finding stuff on databases and reading them. That's great, but the difficulty is that if you don't have a strong set of keywords and keep a research log, whether it's in your notebook or this great Google Docs link that I have here as an option, which is a spreadsheet, to just say, okay, I've searched these terms on this day and found this, what do I need to do next? This enables us, when you come to us saying, hey, I'm missing blah, 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 we can go ahead and say to you, well, what have you already searched and what terms have you used? And you can tell us exactly what it is that you've done. So that's really, really useful. So here's a nice little video done by a library about developing keywords as well as using keywords in effective searches. And I thought both of those are super quick and really well done. So they're worth taking a look at, as well as looking at that research log, which you can easily emulate however you want, but it's really fantastic. Finding great secondary sources, I won't spend too much time on it, but after you've really honed that thesis, you've read some reference stuff, you have some search terms that you know are effective, now you're ready to find sort of your more core secondary sources. This is actually a video from me about how to go ahead and find what's on this page. This is the sweet spot that you're going to love, and this can be used for you to find your more general sources as well, which is our Saint Search database. When you go ahead and type this in, you are searching almost all of the databases that we subscribe to, with the exception of, I think, 3, and they have nothing to do with the Gilded Age. So this is really, really useful for you. I would strongly recommend that you go ahead and type in your more general keywords and see what comes back, because usually the reference stuff is up at the top, and you could get some really great articles and excerpts from books that will be super useful for you. Similarly, when you're ready for that next ramp up, and this is usually at a stage where you are even more specific about what it is that you're doing, you're ready for primary sources. You're ready for those works created during the time period that reflect how people were thinking and feeling, and you are going to be analyzing those. And those most often look like newspaper and magazine articles, letters, diaries, that type of a thing. I have here 2 specific sources that are really terrific, as well as a how-to video by me on how to go ahead and use both of them effectively. Please do take a look when you're at that stage to go ahead and find that. One of the things that people say to me most of all when I say, oh, what would you do differently after you finish this great research project? One of the things that they've said is that they would stay more up to date on their citations, that as they found things and realized that that book or article was going to be terrific and they knew they were going to go ahead and use it, they would pop it in Noodle Tools first. So of course, I've gone ahead and included the information about how do you go ahead and cite things in Noodle Tools. It looks a little different this year if you haven't had a chance to go ahead and take a look at it, but we think that it's actually an improvement. I've also gone ahead, just as a reminder, to have, this is a terrific video about what are in-text citations and when to use them. So that's a terrific review just to make sure you're in the right place. And then similarly, if you find that you are struggling to paraphrase well or know when to quote, this is also a great video that a library did about how to go ahead and do that effectively. So I think that those are a nice set of resources if you have any doubts or any questions. Similarly, the final thing that I've included too, I don't know which teachers are going to be using Turnitin, or if you've had the opportunity to use it yet, but I just wanted to include a link to it. Turnitin, if you haven't had a chance to use it yet, is a plagiarism detector, which is really great for you to use to reassure yourself that you've cited everything that needs to be cited. The library has a Dropbox, and I have a link to it, as well as the instructions on how to go ahead and use it, including creating a profile on Turnitin if you haven't yet, and submitting a paper. I'm happy to also go ahead and walk this through you, but I just find, even for myself, when I write articles, I put it through Turnitin just to make sure that I haven't accidentally forgotten something. You can upload your paper as many times and overwrite the file, so as you make changes, you can re-put it up and make sure that anything that highlights as a match has a citation near it or quotes around it. So it's really, really terrific and useful. So I've included that information, and it could be that you have a teacher who decides to have their own Dropbox so that you can go ahead and put it to them, and then they can see it when the deadline finally happens. You have your final version of your draft in there, but that can be useful as well. So here's your LibGuide. I think it has everything that you need to be successful. Please do keep in mind how the library can help you. We can help you brainstorm good keywords. We can double check your citations for you, or if you get a sticky one you're not sure, we'll walk you through it. We can order specific books to you, and there's more on that in my video in the secondary sources area. We can show you how to photocopy and scan. That printer is not just awesome, it is a terrific copier and a scanner. You can go ahead and look up your name, and it knows your email on campus, and it can scan anything that you want and just send it to you, so you don't have to take a gigantic reference book home. We can help you use other libraries like VCU and UR, and I have information on that in the secondary sources video. And we can just cheer you on. If you need a sympathetic ear to talk enthusiastically or vent without judgment, we are absolutely here for you. So please do come to us. I know that we'll probably have individual appointments with you. I look forward to hearing what you folks have all decided on, and I think you're going to have a terrific project. This is a really interesting era, and I am excited to be able to go ahead and help you. So thank you so much.